Hi, my name is Lorraine O'Neill, and this is the fourth video of me narrating my novel, The Hilarious Dead Guy's Last Chance, Undies. Cousins Polonia and William Appleseed are at the wake of their hilarious Uncle George when Polonia informed William that Uncle George is being buried in his last chance undies. His what? William sputtered, shooting her a quelling glance. Oh, don't go all proprietary police on me. Uncle George had this wacko pair of nut hugger underpants, all sparkly hearts with "Tonight's the night" on them. Pure doofoid corny he'd acquired in days of yore, no doubt. You know his weakness for practical jokes. Whenever Aunt Valerie would get pissed off at him, she'd stop doing his laundry till he begged forgiveness for whatever had pissed her off, and all he'd have left to wear were those last chance undies. Wasn't like I was going to do his laundry. I'd have had to mow it first. You know how chintzy Aunt Valerie is, with other people anyway. Well, she figured since Uncle George was just going to be buried in them, might as well use them. Probably easier seeing them on a dead guy than one you have to live with. If Uncle Jeremy finds out, he'll have a coronary, William jeered in humored horror. Cue massive angst. Nah, Uncle Jeremy wouldn't care. He barely cares about the apple seeds. Why would he care about a bog bottom? He cares. The 5 Appleseed siblings were all he ever had for a family. Now all he's got left are Aunt Valerie and Uncle Rutledge. Uncle Jeremy may be president of Appleseed Holdings, but back when my dad was president, Uncle Armitage was president of Appleseed Holdings? After Pops died, didn't you know? No, I was born just before Pops died. I have a picture of him, though, and Ghost Mom, holding me at the hospital. I thought Uncle Jeremy was president of the firm after Pops died. No, my dad was, up until he was killed. That's when Uncle Jeremy got it. Why not Uncle Rutledge or Aunt Valerie? I don't know. Maybe because neither of them worked at the firm. Uncle Jeremy did. Polonia giggled. I bet it made Aunt Valerie real mad she didn't get it. Uncle Jeremy doesn't like her too much. Maybe that's why he fought for your insurance money, to put it somewhere she couldn't get it, drive her numbnuts. Real magnanimous. But I don't know how Uncle Jeremy felt about Uncle Egbert, your dad. But up until the murders anyhow, the 3 of them, your dad, mine, and Uncle Jeremy, must have gotten along. They all worked together at Appleseed Holdings for 7 years, and it did really well. I never saw my dad going into work. I wonder what he did there. Uncle Egbert never went in? That's odd. I'm sure he was the one who selected the stocks the firm bought for its own investment account. That sent Polonia reeling, and being Polonia, and having just lived 11 insufferable and unwelcomed years with relations Valerie and George Bogbottom, she had zero expertise in feigning the immutable expression or the carefully constructed response. My dad picked out the investments for the firm? Polonia parroted back with none of the nonchalance she should have contrived, though she did at least keep the avalanche of excited inflection catching in her throat out of her voice. That's what caused the whole thing. Why Appleseed Holdings almost went belly up back then, William said. Your dad, Uncle Egbert, had been insider trading. The Securities and Exchange Commission had launched an investigation. That's what they based all that bull about my dad killing your dad on, that he was trying to hush him up. You didn't know? Polonia was in near freefall by the calamity of it. No, she hadn't known. All Aunt Valerie would ever tell her was that her father had caused near ruination at Appleseed Holdings, which had been forced into bankruptcy indefensibly, abrogating her own inherited cut of the Appleseed Holdings pie. And Uncle Rutledge had told her even less. After our dads were killed, William continued crossly, his eyes flaming with the pent-up anger of years, everything took a nosedive at the firm. Uncle Rutledge and Aunt Valerie had to surrender their interests in it. Uncle Jeremy got to stay, but he had to agree to a deal with the feds. Took him 4 years to get the company back on its feet, but he did. It's worth bucks now. William spumed bitterly because Polonia knew of the original 5 Appleseed siblings who'd inherited ownership of Appleseed Holdings from their father Pops. Only one now remained there, Jeremy Appleseed, reputedly the most ruthless of the Passel. Polonia wondered what it must be like for her cousin William to now work at the firm for their Uncle Jeremy. Geez, she slit her wrists first. Polonia also knew that William still wondered if it had been Uncle Jeremy who had been the second person at the house that night. William's theory of the killings had always been that his own father, Uncle Armitage, had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or a white knight who had tried in vain to rescue her father. William's narrative had grown over the years. Insofar as the police were concerned, though, there was no second person. When Polonia had admitted she'd never actually seen the person, couldn't recite anything the person had said, the authorities had matter-of-factly chalked up suspect number 2 solely to the boogeyman imagination of a terrified 7-year-old. To them it was clear. The Federal Securities and Exchange Commission had been about to descend on fancy-pants Wall Street crooks. So to keep her father's mouth shut, his own brother, Armitage Appleseed, had waited until after the party and silenced him. But then Polonia had escaped, taking the killer's anonymity with her, and, knowing the jig was up, Armitage had taken the easy way out. End of story. The fire had been handily ruled accidental, a spark from the untended fireplace igniting all the party liquor that must have been left about. It didn't matter to Polonia. Any way they'd sliced it, it still came up a bunch of baloney to her. Management by drive-by? No, she couldn't accept that. But mostly she couldn't accept that whoever the second person had been that night had gotten away with it. William seemed to know what she was thinking. "And now maybe we'll never know," he said quietly. "Huh? If it was Uncle George at your house that night, if he was the one who shot them." "Nah, Uncle George was the brings a knife to a gunfight type. Hard to believe he could have killed anyone." "It had to have been somebody connected to my dad, your dad, to the company. You know as well as I do, Uncle George would have done whatever Aunt Valerie told him to, even kill your dad, Uncle Egbert, her own brother. The firm was in trouble, the feds were breathing down their necks. She would have done anything to save her piece of that cash cow. The firm was really making money then, Paul. Lots of it." "Oh, Daddy, that's what you did, didn't you? That's what it was all about, what got you killed? Good lenses, but very bad frames." A legion of questions bubbled up within Polonia, but prudently, and for her incredibly, she didn't ask any of them. That's the beginning of Chapter 2 of my book, The Hilarious Dead Guy's Last Chance Undies. In my next video, meet the Appleseeds. Bye.